Why did Jesus tell Mary Magdalene not to cling to him following the resurrection? This is the question that we seek to answer today as we continue our verse-by-verse study of the book of John on Walking Through the Bible.
Glory of his cross.
If you have a Bible with you, turn to John chapter 20. We're going to be reading from verses 11 to 18. If you don't have a Bible, don't worry. Just follow along with us on the screen. The version that we'll be reading from is the New King James Version. So John chapter 20, beginning at verse 11. But Mary stood outside by the tomb weeping, and as she wept, she stooped down and looked into the tomb. And she saw two angels in white sitting, one at the head and the other at the feet, where the body of Jesus had lain. Then they said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping?" She said to them, "Because they have taken away my Lord, and I do not know where they have laid him." Now when she had said this, she turned around and saw Jesus standing there, and did not know that it was Jesus. Jesus said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping? Whom are you seeking?" She, supposing him to be the gardener, said to him, "Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away." Jesus said to her, "Mary." She turned and said to him, "Rabboni," which is to say, Teacher. Jesus said to her, "Do not cling to me, for I have not yet ascended to my Father. But go to my brethren and say to them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, and to my God and your God." Mary Magdalene came and told the disciples that she had seen the Lord, and that he had spoken these things to her. In our last lesson, we had Mary coming to the tomb and seeing the stone rolled away, running to get Peter and John. She told them that someone had taken the Lord's body away, and it is unknown where they laid him. When Peter and John arrived at the tomb, Peter went in first and saw the linen clothes and handkerchief that had been around Jesus' head folded neatly, not something that would have been done if Jesus' body had been stolen. John said that he believed that Christ had risen from the dead, but had not connected that belief with Scripture. With Jesus not at the tomb, they returned to the house that they were staying in. Mary, though, remained at the tomb. At first, she remained on the outside weeping. She did not see the angels that the other women had seen. She had not seen the linen clothes, it seems. It is unclear that John told her what he had seen or believed, or perhaps he did and Mary didn't come to the same conclusion that John did. Regardless, though, Mary was standing at the tomb weeping. She finally looked into the tomb and saw two angels in white sitting, one at the head and one at the foot of where Jesus' body had been laying. It is very likely that these are the same angels that appeared to the other women earlier, but angels that were not seen by either Peter or John. Angels are spiritual beings that are messengers from God. Their message to the women earlier was to go and tell the disciples that Jesus was risen from the dead, but here their task was to comfort Mary. They asked her why she was crying, and her response was that she knows that somebody has taken the Lord's body away, and she didn't know where they had laid him. The angels, though, didn't get to answer Mary because Jesus had appeared and was standing behind her. Now, just like in Luke 24, when the men on the road to Emmaus, Mary didn't initially recognize Jesus, mistaking him for the gardener. It doesn't appear here, though, that Jesus concealed his identity to Mary like he did to the men on the road. Rather, I believe that she initially didn't recognize him because she was in a dark tomb. It was still early in the morning, meaning the lighting obscured Jesus' identity. Now Jesus, like the angels, asked Mary why she was crying and who she was seeking. Since she thought he was the gardener, Mary assumed that it was him that took Jesus' body away. So she asked him where he had put it, so that she could come and bury it properly. All Jesus had to say to prove that it was him was Mary. A gardener wouldn't know who she was, and the way that he said it immediately confirmed to Mary that it was Jesus, to which she, probably excitedly, said Rabboni, meaning teacher. From what Jesus said next, it appears that Mary came in order to grasp at him, perhaps hug him, to which he responded to her not to cling to him. Seeing as how Thomas would be allowed to touch Jesus later on in the chapter, why did Jesus tell Mary not to cling to him here? Well, in his answer he said, "For I have not yet ascended to my Father." But such an answer still leaves confusion, for he had yet to ascend to the Father later, when Thomas was allowed to touch him. So why would Jesus say this? The best explanation has to do with the situation. Mary already believed with her eyes that it was Jesus standing before her, whereas Thomas was still doubting. There was thus no need for her to confirm and examine that he had a resurrected body. Later on, when he had ascended to heaven, Jesus would no longer have a body that could be seen with human eyes, but since that hadn't happened yet, Mary shouldn't waste any time seeking to confirm what her eyes had clearly seen, that Jesus had been raised. Instead, she was to go and tell the disciples that he would be soon ascending to my Father and your Father, and to my God and your God. This is yet another section in John that skeptics claim that Jesus is denying his deity by claiming the Father to be his God. But note here what Jesus did not say. He did not say, I am ascending to our Father and our God. That is what he would say if he was simply a man. No, he said, my Father and your Father, and my God and your God. Jesus' relationship with the Father is different than ours. God is the Father of Jesus by nature, in that both are equally God and neither was created by the other. God is our Father through Christ by grace. God was Jesus' God by nature as well, as he is simply stating the Father's deity here too. But he is not denying his own. He is our God, though, in the sense of having a close relationship with him through Christ by grace. That is what this statement means. It does not deny that Jesus is God. Having been given a command by the Lord, Mary does as she is told and went and told the disciples. We'll finish the chapter, the Lord willing, in the next lesson. With that, our time is up for today. The Lord willing, we hope you'll join us for tomorrow's discussion of John chapter 20, verses 19 to 31, as we continue our walk through the Bible, one verse at a time.
Thank you for watching today's episode. We hope that you found it edifying and ask that you not only subscribe to our channel and podcast, but that you like and share this episode among your friends, so that the saving gospel of Jesus Christ can go out to the whole world.